What's going on YouTube? CJ here, back again with another video. In this one I'm just going to be kind of voicing my frustrations with the current state of the video game industry. There's three games in particular that I really want to focus on, and those are the Star Wars Battlefront series, NBA 2K, and Madden. So all three of those games I've been playing for years, especially 2K and Madden. Battlefront, I had played it in the past. Obviously, there was a whole stretch of time, like 10 years, between the old Battlefront games and then the new ones that came out with that EA made. But I'm personally just frustrated with the way the new games are compared to the older games, because really these newer games, they look prettier, the graphics are better, but the older games had more substance to them, I feel like. So taking Battlefront as the first example, the old game, the one that I think it came out in like 2005 or something like that, Battlefront 2, I'm talking about specifically, is the one I played. And the funny thing about this, I played it on the PSP, the old PSP, PlayStation Portable, right? And that, compared to the console, didn't even have all the features, maps, and game modes that the console version had. But even that had more, I feel, gameplay value than the newer Battlefront games that came out. I personally haven't played the ones by EA. I don't really have any desire to, especially not that first one. The second one, I had thought about getting it, but with the whole microtransaction fiasco, I just decided not to. The better places to spend my money. But the old game it was so in-depth, had so many features, two of which, one being the space battles, which the game that came out in 2015 didn't have, right? And also another one would be the conquest mode, kind of like the campaign. It wasn't a campaign, but it was a game mode where you basically tried to take over the galaxy. It was a campaign in a sense, but not a story per se behind it. So you had features like that, and everything was very in depth. Even the space battles, you would start in a big ship, in the hangar. You would have to run to your fighter, take off, and then go join the fight. Just little things like that, little details that these older games seem to do well. But yet the newer games, they look flashier, prettier, but they lack the detail otherwise. So that's one thing that frustrates me. That's the Star Wars, the Battlefront series in particular. And don't even get me started on the microtransactions. There's a bunch of videos on that. I'm not even going to go into all that. Hopefully something can be done, maybe some laws or something, but I don't really know what can be done about microtransactions, really. The issue with them is that these companies are making so much money from them. It would be one thing if, they tried it, people hated it, and, it didn't work. But these companies make millions from microtransactions. Activision with the Call of Duty series, they keep putting microtransactions in the game because it's making them money, you know? So if everyone were to boycott it, that would be one thing. But you still have these people forking out, you know, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for these, loot boxes or whatever, and that's the reason that, we still have them because people are buying them. So I don't really think there's anything that can be done about that. Maybe with the exception of some laws to kind of restrict things, but even then there's going to be some sort of microtransaction, some form of it. We're in too deep now at this point. But anyway, that's my feelings on, the Battlefront series. Now moving on to, I guess I'll talk about Madden next. So I used to be a Madden buff back in the day. I used to love that game, played it all the time. Me personally, I'm more of a career mode type of person because it's kind of almost like an RPG, So I love the career mode. Back in the day, I think it was called Superstar mode. And this was like Madden, probably 2007, 2008, those years when they had this mode. It was called the Superstar mode. And it was just so in-depth, You created your player. I think some years, I can't remember which years, but they even had like a IQ test, and the way you answer those questions would kind of determine certain attributes that your player had, right? You had that. You had the draft, where for one, you didn't know where you were going to go. You couldn't just pick a team. If you wanted to go to a certain team, if you got lucky, maybe you get drafted there. But if not, you have to, go through free agency or force a trade or something like that. Nowadays, you just kind of pick your team and you're magically there. I don't particularly care for that, but, whatever. So you would go to the draft. You would hire an agent, you would get emails and whatnot with information like pertaining to your agent and other things. You would go to practice, and in the practice you would work on your attributes. And then in the game, obviously, you would get experience as well. And they had this system called the influence system, where it was a meter that filled up. And it, based on your performance, the higher that, if you did better, the meter would go up. And you had a in-game meter, and then you had a overall influence meter. And if you got that overall influence meter up, you would be, I guess, a team captain or whatnot. Just things like that, little nuances and details. But these new Madden games, I think the last Madden I got was Madden 17. And even before then, I skipped some years. I think I had Madden 15. Because it just got to the point where the game modes were so lackluster. The career mode I'm talking about in particular, they just lacked the depth that they had in the older games. And again, the new consoles came out, the PS4, Xbox One, whatever. So the graphics are great. Everything looks good. But the career mode, it's so empty, You just play games, get attributes, that's it. There's no other real sort of depth in there, like there was in those older games. So, that's my gripe with Madden. Just the lack of features and content compared to the older games, So, that's how I feel about that. And then the last series is 2K. And this is probably the one I played the most. I've been playing 2K for probably close to a decade now. And again, I like the career mode in 2K the best. That's my preference. And that went downhill too. The first, I had the older 2K games like 2K6, 2K7. I kind of took a break from those. It came back, I think, with 2K11 because I had gotten the PS3 and got 2K11. To me, that's still the best 2K of all time to this day. That's my personal opinion on that, but for me, it was the career mode that did it. Of course, you had the Jordan challenges and all that stuff, but for me, I love the career mode, and that was the best career mode I feel to this date. Back then, there was no VC, right? You had skill points. You started at like a 40 overall or something. You had to work your way up, grind. But there were so many ways to do that. You had drills, right? You had the NBA Combine. You had the Summer League. You had all that stuff in the My Player mode. And to me, the fun part is the grind, right? And that game, it wasn't so bad to the point where it took forever, but you had to work for it. You had to play the games, play the Combine, the Summer League, do well to get the skill points to increase your player. And I felt a sense of accomplishment, when I hit, like 90 overall, 95 overall, because I had worked for it, doing the drills and all that stuff. I like 2K better before the VC, before the microtransactions. Again, like I said in the beginning of the video, it's not going anywhere. And it frustrates me because it takes away a lot of the, what's the word? I don't know, but it takes away the enjoyment for me when you can just buy your way to, 85 overall. And, everything is based on VC. And what bothers me even more is the level caps, man. Back then you didn't have level caps. In 2K11, if you want to make a superstar play, if you wanted to be the next MJ, you could do that, right? There were no level, I guess there were maybe level caps, but they weren't ridiculous level caps, right? These level caps now in 2K are ridiculous. I remember watching a video, I forgot who it was, but they were showing in 2K20 they had the pre-built player builds, right? Like, oh, you can make Kevin Durant, right? But you look at the max attributes, they're garbage. Like Kevin Durant can do anything on the basketball court, right? But you had certain skills maxed out in like the 60s or 70s, and it's like, Kevin Durant has a higher rating than that, but yet you can't do that because you're capped. So I really hate the limitations that the game places on you now. This is actually the first time in probably 8 years that I haven't bought 2K. I don't have 2K20. And the reason for that is what I just said. They had the archetype system for the last couple years, and again they put these ridiculous caps on you, and they finally they acted like they're going to change things up, and you have more control over your player build or whatnot. We're introducing this pie chart system. All the pie charts were archetypes with a different label. It's the same thing. You still have these ridiculous caps. You can't build a player you want because of these restrictions, a quote unquote 99 overall in my career mode is like a 80, 82 overall, in the normal game because of the restrictions. It's ridiculous. Um, so like I said, this is the first year I didn't buy 2K in like 8 years. Because it's just not fun to me anymore. The one game mode I enjoy playing is just, it's crap now. I can't make the player I want to make. You know, I'm forced into being great at one thing. It's essentially one thing. You know, you want a slasher, good, you can slash, but your 3-point shot's garbage. Or you can be a 3-point shooter, but you're slow, and you can't make layups. So it's ridiculous, man. I hate the current system now. So that's why I didn't buy 2K this year, man. The VC thing, it just limits you. But again, it's all about the money, the microtransactions. They make so much more money with VC, so it's not going anywhere, man. It's not going anywhere. At the very least, the one thing I wish they would do, because at one point you still could, I don't know if it was 2K13, I can't remember, but you had the VC, but if you want to make an offline my player that used skill points to up your stats, you could do that. At this point, that's all I would really want. I just want a game mode, a career mode, where I can use skill points, not VC, and grind my player up and not have these ridiculous attribute caps, that prevent me from doing the things I want to do on the court. So anyway, that's my little rant for today. At the end of the day, man, it's these older games were better. To be completely honest, like the thing we have now is pretty games. Everything looks great, but the features are lacking. So those are just 3 examples. I'm sure there's many more out there, but Battlefront, Madden, and NBA 2K, for me, those are the ones that they've really suffered over the years, gameplay wise, I feel, in terms of depth. And I know Madden has that story mode now, but it's still not the same. It's just not the same. Yeah, the story, well, first of all, the story's cringy as all get out, but even with that story mode, it still lacks the depth that the old Madden games had. So anyway, that's my rant for today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, a comment, consider subscribing. I'll be doing more videos where I just talk about stuff like this. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. If you have any interesting stories or things like that I could talk about, you can send me them on there. I'm going to link that down below. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.